My parents are snowbirds spending winters in Florida and summers in New Jersey. My mom flies back and forth while my dad drives with their 2 dogs, a lab and a boxer, because he refuses to pay for their plane tickets. My mom always nags him about keeping the dogs on leashes, especially during trips. He says yes, but then does whatever he wants because that's just how dads are. Before a recent drive from Florida to New Jersey, my mom reminded him don't unleash the dogs at rest stops. The lab has been running off a lot lately and doesn't come back when called. He got mad and said, "I know how to handle my dogs," and then left. Later that night, we got the call. Here's what happened. Dad stopped at a rest stop. He ignored the muddy grass and unleashed the dogs, probably saying something like, "My girls will behave." He lit a cigarette and sipped his coffee. When he turned around, the boxer was there, but the lab was gone. He looked around, calling for her. No response. He started to panic because she's a beautiful dog, and he was worried someone might take her. Then he saw her rolling in a huge mud puddle, wagging her tail like crazy and covered in mud. He tried to grab her, but she thought it was a game and ran away. He slipped and fell into the mud. The lab jumped on him, and the boxer joined in, thinking he was hurting her sister. Now all 3 were covered in mud. Dad finally got the dogs to the car. He realized he had to clean them up fast, but knew his Mercedes would be ruined. He had no choice, so he loaded the muddy dogs into the car, and they flopped all over the back seat. At the hotel, the clerk was hesitant to check him in because he was covered in mud. Dad explained, and the clerk laughed and gave him a key. In the room, Dad tried to bathe the lab first. The lab hates baths and howled the whole time. The boxer thought Dad was hurting her sister and bit him on the butt. It was hard, but didn't draw blood. Dad yelled at both dogs, who were now barking and running around the room. The lab escaped the tub, and the boxer was howling because she thought Dad abandoned her. The phone rang. Hotel management asked if everything was okay because neighbors were complaining about the noise. Dad apologized and managed not to get kicked out, but he had to pay for damages. The room was covered in mud, and a lamp was broken during the chaos. My mom laughed so hard she couldn't breathe and had a panic attack. Then she started laughing again when she realized what had happened. Dad finally admitted Mom was right about the dogs, but insisted he's right about everything else.